today, this series of events, this is one of the series of events under the banner of Boundless. Boundless is an initiative started by Southwark Council, which is all about showcasing the work and the skills of artists with disabilities. And tonight we are in conversation with Adele Carden. So, just a little bit about your background, Adele. Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Yorkshire, 1959. So I grew up in Yorkshire, and let's see, I left home at 16, and then I went to Scarborough, and then I came to London about the age of 23 or something like that. And I didn't know anything about MS. I didn't know anything. You know, I didn't have a clue what was happening. So I just carried on normally doing what you do. You just moved to London. The world's opened up, and I was with friends in my front room, and one of my friends said to me, "Where's your eye gone? Where's your eye?" I said, "I don't know." My eye just went boom, and he did. And I thought, what the hell's going on? And my friends said, "Get your eye back. What's your eye doing?" "What's happened to your eyes?" And I said, "I didn't know." One of the eyes, I think it's this one, just took off and went right round the side of my head. And I think I didn't know. I got to what happened, and I don't know, I was waiting for it to get back to normal. I mean, in those days when I had a doctor, and the doctor didn't have a clue what happened, sent me to a hospital to have my eyes tested. And I remember it because I'd been painting my friend's part and my feet were green. I just remember being in the hospital with green feet, laid out, and all these students coming in to inspect me. And all I remember was my green feet. Anyway, the students inspected me and decided that I had a disease in my eye.
Right.
An infection.
Right.
And so basically that was actually the first sign of MS, but I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. So I was in a band in Yorkshire, Scarborough, and they decided to come down to London.
What's the name of the band?
The Friday Club.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they decided with loads and loads of gigs in Yorkshire, in Scarborough and various other places. I was a singer, and I played glockenspiel, vibes, everything, all of it, which I wouldn't be able to do now, I don't think. And we got signed by Two Tone, Jerry Dammers, who used to be in the Specials.
Oh, yes.
So it was all linked up with that. And in the meantime, I wasn't really having any problems that you could see. I mean, I was crazy anyway, maybe. But
you guys, you went on tour with Madness,
yeah,
playing to thousands and thousands of people in the audience.
Yeah.
And you had no idea?
No idea.
Back then?
You see, what I found out about MS was that you had remissions, long remissions where nothing happened whatsoever. And you're normal. You've been about, I was doing aerobics, I was fit as a fiddle, and in fact, we're very fit, in fact. And then all of a sudden I'd be going, say, to aerobics one day, and the instructor, he was a footballist. He instructed footballers, and I'd be laid on the floor, and he'd kick my foot, and he'd say, come on, get up, come on. And I couldn't move. And anyway, and I had to hold the bar and just stand on one leg, and I thought, what the hell is going on here? You know, I was fit as a fiddle. And then I was took to hospital one time because I was just having panic attacks and doobie-doo. No one had a clue what was going on. But in the meantime, the band had done the tour, fantastic tour. We come back. Unfortunately, we split up. But that sort of is the way with a lot of bands in that day. But we've signed to two-tone, and I would have wished, really, you know, would have wished more than anything that we carried on, but we didn't. And then, but I carried on writing, so did Terry, another girl, and performing, and we carried on. I was having funny things happen.
That's a band called the Northern Girls, then, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were called the Northern Girls.
Oh.
And we went to Scotland gigging.
Yeah.
And funny things happened.
So all the time you were out, you were performing, and you're writing and producing your artwork, but at times there would be these kind of setbacks.
Yes.
And there wasn't any kind of real indication, didn't get any indication from the doctors as to really what was going on.
What was going on, yeah.
Is it because you were so young, do you think, that they thought...
I think that...
There was such a difference.
Well, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 39.
Right.
So really, I was young when it was happening, but I would say that possibly the information to doctors about MS wasn't really going round. In fact, there was a new girl who just become a doctor.
Yeah.
It was her that said that I think you need to go and see a neurologist.
Right.
And I think she knew. And she made out, well, not made out, that it was such a big thing, and she rang me at home and counseled me. And I didn't really see it like that. I said to my friends, I'm having my 19th nervous breakdown. I just didn't know what was happening.
So then, when you were out performing with Friday Club and the Northern Girls, what was your inspiration for the kind of music that you were creating? Who were your kind of contemporaries?
You see, some of it was classical. I worked in schools doing music, and I played piano and wrote songs, no problem. But I was influenced by, there was people in this place where I worked that played cellos. I just thought it was the most beautiful thing.
Yes.
And it was classical. And the music in my song Still of the Night, he played the cello. And I loved it, and I started to write songs that were about almost about renewal, but not really. I was talking about things in my songs that I just didn't have a clue what they were. I didn't have a clue. And
it just came to you?
No, well, the songs came to me, Still of the Night. You know, if I look at that, I remember how that came to me because I had a thing about clearings in woods. This sounds weird, but I had a real thing about it. When I was little, I used to go into a forest and sit clearing with the grass and the sun shining through the trees, and I write about it in that song. I've got this real thing about them. Yeah.
Okay. So love for nature, but particularly trees and that, and out of the denseness of the forest, you come to a clearing where there's that kind of a different atmosphere.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, shall we just listen to Still of the Night?
Yes.
It's a fantastic song. When we were talking about your coming on and being with us today, you were saying that the inspiration for this song, the words for this song, you were stood in Peckham.
I really was.
By the bus stop. And it came to you.
The garage, it did. I was waiting for a bus. 37 still go there.
Let's listen to this song.
That's first laid in the clearing, and I said, I've got my head on the grass, and I say, feel the ticking of the earth. You know.
What a wonderful line.
We don't really think of that anymore, do we?
No. That time just to lie and be still.
Yeah.
And to hear the ticking of the earth, is that?
Phew, yeah.
Beautiful.
That sounds poetic.
It is. So then, Adele, okay, you've been playing to so many thousands of people. You've produced your own songs. You've sung in the band. You've produced this record. I remember you saying this was one of the last songs you wrote before the MS took full grip. So then, what made you change from being a singer-songwriter then to comedy? How did you make that transition?
You know what, it was being from Yorkshire, and it was to do with my grandma, who isn't with us now, but she used to make me laugh so much. And she said things like, you know, I wouldn't go out with him his backside to study if your diamonds and stuff.
You wouldn't go out and see if your backside was
studied diamonds.
Oh, I say.
I know, and so I was hearing all this, and my hero is Alan Bennett for a start, and Talking Heads influenced me so much. I just thought, really, there was a whole generation of people, my grandma and her friends, and they all went bowling, and the things that they said, and I thought, phew, that's going to disappear. So I can't remember when I thought of writing and speaking to people, but I did. I wrote it first, and do you remember when all the friends came round to my house?
Yeah.
And it was just so boring, wasn't it?
It was all right.
Well, it was all right, but I knew it had to get better. So I started to think about it.
It was good.
Yeah, I had to think about it. Because you talk to people who haven't gone from that background really, don't know the quips and the anecdotes and the things that we have all witnessed and we all know. And of course we've got Alan Bennett, who does talk about things, but I knew that I wanted to bring it more alive really. What really happens, what my grandma used to say, what our friends said, and what went on. Yeah.
Okay. So that's quite a nice lead-in to you are going to give us a taste of some of your comedy writing.
Yes.
I'll hand over to you.
Okay, well, I need that.
Toilet roll.
Yeah.
That's that.
This is a prop. And this set is called Toilet Humour. So we've got toilet roll if anyone needs it, which would probably be me. But basically it's called Toilet Humour, and it's about the use of toilets or the misuse, or they're not getting out, falling on the floor, what goes on if you're disabled. Because toilets, they can catch you, they're going to catch you, so you have to be careful. So the first time that I decided I'd start writing this was when my friends helped me go to the loo, and they hadn't seen each other for a while. It was Maureen and Sal. Oh, I like it. Where did you go? You've been to... In the meantime, I'm struggling to get on the toilet. So they place me on the toilet, and then they carry on catching up with what's been going on. I fall off the toilet. They have to run from me and place me on the toilet, and we get ready, and everything's alright, and then we leave. And then my next thing is, I have a friend who has MS, and we were talking about our bladders, and I said to her, I think it needs a name. It needs a name. So we called it the mischievous bladder. That was Sharon. Me and Sharon, we talked about just sort of decides what it wants to do. It wants to go for a wee. It doesn't want to go for a wee. Sometimes I have to be absolutely desperate to go to the toilet wee-wise, and I go, and I don't want to go, and I'm just fed up of it. Especially at work, they come looking for me, they knock on the door. Adele, are you all right? Are you right? So I've decided really that I've just had enough of it. And the one incident that happened, which was quite bad, was they do practice fire alarm rehearsal, and I was told, Dennis at reception said there's going to be a practice fire alarm. So everyone said, Adele, if you want to wee now, we'll take it, because the fire alarm will go and you'll have to leave. So they took me to the loo, and then they had to leave me and get ready to run for the fire alarm. But I was sat on the loo and the fire alarm went off. Of course, so did my bladder. I was fully dressed because they left me with everything on. And the fire alarm went, and my bladder just went. So I was soaking wet, and they came and knocked on the door. Adele, are you all right? And I said, take me out. So they put me in a wheelchair, and we all had to leave the building because it was practice fire alert. So we all left the building, and Oh, it was freezing cold, and I was sat in the wheelchair and soaking wet, freezing cold. You know, I really was. And there was like icicles going down my legs. And anyway, so I got through that. That was a very long work. But there is one incident to do with toilet humour that I remember, and that was when I was in the band with Madness, and they had problems at the rear end. I was really proud because me and the drummer, Anton, were the only ones who didn't have this happening to them. And Madness that soaks in everything, chest smash, soaks it to leave the stage. Because they're the runners. They're the runs really badly.
And Madness runs.
The what?
Madness runs.
Yeah. And oh, and I was so proud of myself being, and they're all running off stage, got to this running back on stage, running off stage again. And I was sat there thinking, hilarious, not knowing what was going to happen to me with my bladder in a few years' time. But that whole tour was 38 weeks.
Right.
And it was England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, I mean, it was big and it was long, there was all sorts of incidents. But I was well at that point, you know. Now then, the next piece is, I think it's very common with people when they go out and they're in the taxi and they're thinking, oh, I'm on the wee, how far is it to my house? And so they get the keys out, and well, I was with Paul, my husband, and it happened, and oh no, let's cross in the taxi. Paul, get the keys, get the keys. I've got to get out of the taxi and run into the house. And of course, I didn't make it. And I've stood, and our neighbours shared the same door. And so I said, well, I can't make it, so I just had to do it. So I did on the step. I thought, oh, that is it, my neighbours are going to come out and they'll know what I've done. But something fantastic happened. It started to rain. I thought, oh, fantastic. It's all could be washed away, and it was all washed away. I got up in the morning, you know, I felt fantastic. And I don't know how it happened, but it did happen. And I hope it can help for other people, because there's a lot of people don't make it to the front door.
Okay.
He said, I've got a bit more. I've got a little bit more. And this is part of my magical stuff, you know, the tampidevin. That happens, and I say to myself, when I go to heaven, because of course I will go to heaven. Will I go to heaven? I think is for heaven. The point is, there are toilets in heaven, and I guarantee you, this is all if I get into trouble for this, I guarantee that Margaret Thatcher will have a toothbrush and she'll be cleaning the toilet in heaven. I know this, and I've got into trouble for this. Is she going to go to heaven but don't have toilets in hell? Of course they don't. They're all burned. So anyway, so then I think about the angels up there. They've got to stop wearing white because they're going to be, put it this way, they're going to have to go to the toilet. They've got huge wings. How will they get on the toilet? They will have to go because they need toilets. Because if there wasn't toilets in heaven, we'd be splattered. We'd be covered, wouldn't we? Henry James, look at him.
So
They'd
evidence.
really be in heaven. Anyway.
So evidence that there must be toilets
Yeah.
in heaven. Right. Okay. Well then, and thank you so much, Adele, for that. I wanted to ask you then, having moved from singing and songwriting, because now you're not able to sing as you were back then because of the MS, and you use humour as a way to retell stories and to recount some of the ways that your relatives, like you mentioned, your grandma,
Yeah.
the way that she spoke and some of the stories that she told.
Yes.
Well, what would you say? What would be the one piece of advice you would give to artists these days as they want to develop their work, whether they've got disabilities or not? What would you say to them?
I think they need to. I've worked with my friends. Rich, you like to work with your friends, don't you? And I think you have a special place for your friends who will tell you the truth. They won't hurt you, but they'll tell you the truth. And I think any artist who's writing, who's singing, who's performing, whatever they do, ask your friends for comments and how they feel about your work. And if you don't feel you're having friends, then get some friends, join the club. I join clubs, that to me is everything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about that.